Cool, good deal. All right, let's call the meeting to order and then first order of business is the approval of the minutes. So we have a motion to approve. Great, all right. Hey, good morning.
Sorry, I was,
Eric.
my head.
Eric.
Okay, and second, did you have that yet?
I'll second.
Bud, all right. All in favor, minutes approved.
Aye.
All right, good deal.
We got one eye
visit-
vote, that's good. I like it.
Visitor comments.
Do you have anything you want to say, my friend Ree? Do you want to introduce yourself since you're joining us this morning?
I'm Ree Hamlin, and thanks to Bud, I found out about this meeting and I wanted to find out what's going on. So I publish Neighbors Webster Groves, which is community magazine. in
Yeah.
Webster.
Thanks for coming.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right. Old business, new business, pretty much all the business, right, is the business coffee feedback.
Let's start with that. I'll pull it up, Mr. Chairman, on the screen so everyone's got it. What
Yeah.
Fran sent out last night, in case folks haven't had a chance to look at it.
Sounds good.
And give me 2 seconds to share it, and get it out to everyone.
Great job to the planning committee. I think it turned out really well. Yeah.
So Fran has done work here, and what you see on the screen, I think you all got my email last night. This is the feedback and the comments and such, so thank you very much, Fran, and I keep trying to get it bigger. There we go. So let me know where you want to go, if you just want to work right down it, Mr. Chair, and I can.
I think let's just work down it and talk about them and talk about what's feasible and what maybe isn't. Just I know some of mine weren't really business development commission things, but I thought they were good feedback and good things to discuss. So see if we have any common trends. So cater to Webster, this was on the QR code. Cater to Webster folk and folks from wider St. Louis area, even tourists. Like it, but make sure Old Orchard businesses are included. I think we'd include everybody on that, right? I mean, on the QR code. Include walking and driving times between districts.
Just like Google shows you, right?
How long do we get to
How long to get to?
Yeah.
like the idea, it seems like?
Yeah. Have what's a like sign ID and QR code, have links to each business's website. Is that something that could be done on there?
Depends again on what format map, right? I mean, if it's,
Mhm.
yeah, so.
Yeah. Physical maps. Like benches. Sorry, I
sometimes
skipped one.
shoppers go to
Oh, the
other districts
lunches thing.
and where to
Yeah.
grab lunch.
Oh, yeah.
So, other districts. Would that be like pulling out restaurants into their own category?
Yeah, or like you could feature lunch specials, or some, if there's, restaurants 1 and 2.
Yeah. Or feature categories kind of
Yeah.
too, kind of like like I do think about it like a mall one, where it's got different categories of businesses.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Mhm. Add a bike route and bike route racks on maps for cyclists. I skipped one. Physical maps, wayfinders. And benches at Lockwood and Big Bend include all the business districts, so. The physical maps, would there be a way to update them and change them? That's the only downside is the turnover.
So we have wayfinding signs in Old Webster. That was a program. And some of them, it has been updated in some time. So there's some business changes that need to happen.
Sure,
Mara, when I took over business districts from Mara, she kept that project. But that's the only district that has the wayfinding
I
signs
see.
for businesses on the street.
I see.
Only district, I should say.
Okay, that's probably why a lot of these are like include Old Orchard or, other areas.
I think there are things that have happened in certain districts.
People are used to
that
what's
like,
happening
hey,
in certain
we see that
districts.
there. How do we get that over space?
I see. Add a bike route and bike racks on maps for cyclists. That's something that would be on there, because I mean, right, can you profile that?
We certainly can.
Yeah.
So, and all the streets are considered bikeable, but we do have some that have bike lanes built on, so.
Maps of business districts, including QR codes, teach business would be great. Love the window decal idea, great idea. It's not for profit, this helps with visibility. When we have our favorite paint Webster each year to have a map of parking, restaurants, parks for people coming to Webster. Needs to be utilized in a way for people to access without coming to the city so they can plan beforehand. So the marketing piece of it, I suppose, right?
Yeah, and go ahead, Stacy, are you? Did you get moved off again?
It stays to get booted.
Oops. Stacy, you can talk, so I'll get you re-added here. I think interesting in this one is, essentially, why would they use this map over Google, right?
Uh-huh.
So how do you incentivize use or such?
Yeah.
That's what I noticed on this one.
Yeah, but the one we just skipped over, the nonprofit one, I
Uh-huh.
think they're trying to say when we have special events. May somehow be included and where to park. So maybe it's a breakout,
Mhm. Of different types of businesses.
right, events, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, and we're part for events and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I see.
I think Tim is, who's speaking?
Tim's muted.
That's Officer Wolf.
Sorry.
Oh, you're,
Okay.
okay.
Just in case I get a call.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you're fine. And many people. Access.
I
Go ahead,
say-
Stacey.
Every single person that approached the table was very interested, and whatever they were with, they were interested in having that be included.
The event piece,
As far as like the Webster Arts Fair, they wanted to include like their link to it, and then they also wanted to provide, they wanted to have the QR code at their events and their brochures, so when people come, they could print the QR code on their brochures, is what the lady was talking about.
So essentially that guest to the art fair could know where to go in town rather than just drive back home.
Yes.
gotta leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So she just wanted to make sure that the QR code was going to be accessible to all, like they can download it themselves. And I'm obviously, yeah, be amazing.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Don't know why it wouldn't be. Yeah, good. And then many people still don't know how to access the QR code. Then,
Right.
I mean, I think that just is what it is. So,
Yeah, we could always access it for them, right?
sure. So,
We would also, depends on how you want to host it, but we would come up with an easy URL redirect,
Yeah.
let's just webstermap.gov.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever catchy thing is the right term. Not saying that's
To
the right term.
publish it.
Yeah, I'm saying, so the QR code can be there, and for those that haven't figured that out, just type in this website, or, if it's a web
That's good.
interface.
yeah.
I do have a question. Can this at all be tied in with the Explore Webster Groves?
Oh, it absolutely can. So all of these types of things are community business calendar that businesses can put, events and such on as all through Explore Webster Groves. So that's if you go to, I'll just give you the quick example. I think, let's see here. I think we've got to go share screen. Let me just do it this way. So when you're on our website, Webster Groves, and you go down, let's see, where's that? I think it's probably right underneath them, if I'm correct. Explore Webster, that this is the Explore Webster Groves page, which is meant to be out of the, businesses, certificate events, all the news and announcements and such like that. So yes, it absolutely can be.
So my question is, why can't we just attach the map to this and this be the QR code landing page?
You certainly can. Yeah, no, it's absolutely can. I think what I've seen in the comments there is how dynamic of a map are you? And this goes back to our conversation, what is it just a static map and then all these other factors, if they want transit times between their location and Olive and Oak from Art Fair, or how to get up to Maypop from Yorkshire, that's really the development piece that needs to be answered.
Mhm.
So we don't have to answer that now. I'm just saying
Has there been any more development on like pricing from this, or like who, I know we are initially looked at one person, it was like too much.
yeah, so we had reached out to Google, and I told them to pause on giving us a price, and it just really, because I was really waiting for this feedback in yours about where do we go with this? How dynamic of a mapping do you want, right?
Mhm.
And again, we can get to a GIS map, that gives people that, but it's not enough. Most of you would look at me like, what's a GIS map, right? And that's very much the property-based mapping that we use here at the city. And most of us don't have daily functional feel as customers on how to use those maps.
Mhm.
They're not hard, it's just not something.
Yeah, they just look different. Yeah.
Well, here's my question. If we have it land at the Explore Webster Groves, and
Yep.
then on Explore Webster Groves, they can update it so there is like an overall map link to Webster Groves.
Mhm.
And there's also Explore Webster Groves, Old Orchard, Crossroads, Old Webster,
Mhm.
Watts, or Yorkshire Plaza. I don't know what they.
Yeah,
and,
sure, yeah.
all of those are on that page, and then they can click and get a list of those businesses in there.
If that's the way you want to go, that's not that hard to do.
Well,
That-
I'm gonna offer this. Are you done, Stacy?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna offer this. We've heard from Tammy for sure and other business owners that when they leave those stores that are not on Lockwood, they say, oh, I didn't know Old Webster existed, or I don't know Old Orchard existed. And remember, she even said, just go up to Lockwood and turn left or right and you'll be fine. So I think we should keep it congruent so that people that never have been here before aren't confused by their options.
I do think by landing on Explore Webster Groves and then there being like different bubbles of where these locations are within Webster Groves, it's very clear. I mean, part of Webster Groves history is the little tiny neighborhoods within Webster Groves. Like, I'm all for everybody coming together and sharing the local love, but also staying true with who Webster Groves is, I think is important. And it's part of the culture of Webster.
Well,
That's my-
I don't disagree with it. I'm just trying not to lose customers that don't know business districts exist. I like your idea about a bubble. You know, if there's clarity somewhere. and
Yeah, oh,
visual clarity.
It would definitely have to be very clear. Like, I'm almost thinking, like, on the map, they're almost being little key bubbles. Like, obviously, Old Orchard's known for their apples. You know, like, I don't know, something to play around
An
with.
icon, some sort of icon.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. What would Old Webster be?
Probably.
Tree theme, usually.
Tree
This
theme.
tree, I think we have on the parking signs and on the old Webster signs.
Yes.
Yep.
And I
Crossroads
guess-
doesn't have a,
Yeah, somebody can come up with something.
Yorkshire's a brick wall. jokes. I'm joking.
But icons are a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, that also would help kind of clarify, like, you are here, or it also clarifies the other way when people don't understand, like, wait, I'm in Old Webster, I'm in Old Orchard, I'm in Crossroad, like, what does that mean? Like, if they were to go to there, oh, well, that makes sense.
Right.
I think if we had the option that you could search or like explore by district or explore by shopping category, then that kind of gives options,
That's true.
you know, like you're like.
That's definitely. a good
I like the
idea.
icons though, too, keeping in mind that you've got a couple areas that don't have them, but I mean, if we made them for them, like, I think. That Watson corridor could easily be like a Route 66 or something
Yeah.
like that, that,
Sure.
you know, is easy to play into for people that don't know the area.
Oh, so cute.
Oh, it is old Route 66.
We just had
right?
people with us, and like, it's crazy how Europeans are so fascinated by
are.
routes.
You get there and you're like, here you are, but
It's routes.
That used to be the thing in
Yeah.
Flagstaff, the amount of those old roadside motel, you know, the old ones that you wouldn't think that, oh my God, the Europeans just love them.
They love it. It's
They
like
think
a time for them. You tell them, oh yeah, like.
Like, I'm
we're
glad they
it's
built
on
over here,
old,
so-
like Route 66. Oh, so exciting. Like, it's like, it's
Right.
great, you know, but whatever. So, but yeah, I think if we did icons for each of the areas, I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, and I mean, we have almost everybody in their own districts here. We would, you know, kind of let them decide, you know, I don't know. I'd feel weird picking somebody else's icon, but
No, I agree, but.
We let a designer come up with that.
We're always looking for ideas.
I mean, we have essentially 3 districts and some of those commercial areas have no designations, right? I mean,
Correct.
so it's, what's Owen Ridge gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
What's that area around
Zeta
Freddy's?
Dell has to be renamed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maypop and that area, like what would they do? Like a little, some type of little neighborhood symbol of some sort, because they're like directly in the neighborhood, but
Right,
I mean,
well, anyway, this is a designer's problem,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I'm not on the creative side.
for my outside my bubble.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be solved today.
Well, so next steps on the QR code, right, I think are probably figuring out cost.
I think even before cost, so the council set aside at least $25,000 for marketing on Working Webster Groves and this, designing this, okay?
Okay,
And there is more that we can ask for, right? I mean, it's not an infinite pool of money, but there's more. But I think it really gets down to that point, is that what you want for it? Just sort of a simple map where, okay, I want to go to Old Orchard and, then pull up Old Orchard. You want a dynamic map that works across the city. You don't have to decide that today, but that's really that step to take to design. How do we do it, right? And just to give you a quick sense, the city's capability, and I think I've shown this quickly before, but this is a GIS map. This is probably, that looks very Google-ish in that way it starts, but as it starts to populate, you will see, the layers come on here and the things that are going to be tough for most folks to comprehend and deal with. It'll start to pull up parcels and everything. So I mean, that's the map that we deal with. Now, that's got a lot of layers turned on,
yeah,
and we could use it and strip layers out and put the bubbles on, but that's our capability in-house. So we're really talking, even if you don't want a Google style map, but you want something else, we're using designers in a way to figure that out. So
could you strip it down, just show us what it looks like with just like
sure.
the business parcels on there?
Also, Eric, who designs the Explore Webster Groves website right now?
That's all done with Starkey. So the Explore website is through Starkey, and then she utilizes Creative Entourage for design functions if need be.
Eric,
Yep.
I don't know if you'll be able to pull this up, but when we did business bingo, there was a map that was really simply designed that had the different business districts on it.
I think we
mean,
did
it
that.
was,
Did you do that with
no, I did that
Oh, you
with
did
Scott
that
Gerke,
with Scott
but,
Gerke, that's right.
and I could send it to you, but this is what designers do. They solve these kinds of problems.
Right.
And it's a real simple map.
Sure.
But
mean,
go ahead, who's speaking, Stacy? Go ahead.
Yes.
Stacy.
To say Jean has already volunteered some of her time to do this, and I don't know if you've seen Jean's maps, but they're pretty user friendly and easy on the eye. When Jean from Kind Soap or Kind Apothecary.
Yeah, so the other thing is Google has competitors. I know MapQuest is one of them. Those are pretty much the only two I know, but maybe other people have experienced other commercial map companies.
Yelp.
Yelp, I've never seen a map,
Right.
but
So,
that's the
yeah, I
idea.
mean, I think, Stacy, what you're talking about, I think, because I've seen that map, is you're talking about generally a static map that has a link embedded in a piece that takes you to a place. That's fine. What I'm getting at is, there's many different options to go, and we at the city and staff want to find the right designers to get us the right way. It's up for you all to decide, is that the model you want to go to? Here's a, sort of a visualization map that people then link out of into various directories and listings and such, or do you want a dynamic map, reading some of those
Correct,
things?
that's the
that-
issue.
Right.
That's the real
So
issue.
we can absolutely do what you're talking about, Stacy. We can do a dynamic map. We just need to know which way to go in the scope of the project.
I think it makes sense to start with kind of what Stacy's talking about and then see if people use it, and then we can always develop it further,
Yeah, I like that
That's a good
too. I like to
idea.
start simple and then see where it goes, because obviously it keeps costs down, but it gets it out there. Sorry, go ahead, Stacy.
Will the money still be there in a year from now, Eric, if we decide to add more to it, or in 2 years from now?
Well, no, we'd have to ask for more, but if this is a project that is successful and valid, I mean, barring a recession and major changes to the city's revenue, I don't want to speak for the council, but it is something that we would continue to support. If that's driving retail, sales and that, which of course we depend on, we would want to support that, so.
And the mapping products might even go down in price as they become more ubiquitous.
And we're talking about funding that is not included in the ARP funds, or?
So the ARP funds have all been moved effective in the next budget, so there is no more federal money, it's all city money now.
Got it.
So the city has created a special initiatives fund which you have all been given at the very preliminary estimate, $50,000 in. And again, Mike's presentation's on the 6th, that there's more other projects that are arising out of this. Council and management fully expects to hear a request for more for, this is the thing that we're hearing that we need to do it. So.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
So what would be our next step, Eric? Having a meeting with Jen Starkey to see what we're capable of, or do we start interviewing designers? What do you recommend?
I think, I would, Stacy, your designer, I can't remember her name, Jean, was it?
Yeah.
I think we need to scope how much we're thinking of design costing, and we need to scope out what we're looking at. If it's just one map with icons and bubbles, very nice, that's fine. If it's over a certain amount of money, we need to go to an RFP and ask for bids and quotes and things like that. That's city purchasing, so
How much is that budget that you have to send it out for our?
let's, it's theoretically over 5,000. It doesn't have to go to city council for contract.
The map should be far cheaper than that.
It should be, but again, I don't know, don't order a lot of maps, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely should be, so, but I think it's also then, the business directory that we have is dependent upon business license folks who are willing to be on the directory, right? So, some folks that are exempt that don't have to file a business license, we don't have their information. They sometimes don't sit. So our business directory isn't necessarily reflective of every business in town.
So here's a real meaty question. We can simply do a geographic map with district highlights, but then as Eric was just indicating, we've got individual businesses, and it doesn't do me any good if the individual business doesn't have a descriptive name.
Sure.
So then you get into 1 or 2 line sentences that describe the business, and that is such a moving target that nobody ever gets to the end of it, and then they never keep it updated. So it usually fails, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then it leads you to like, who are the key people? Who are the key businesses? Who are the people that are mostly getting looked at? And then it ends up going that direction just to reduce the workload. So I bring that up because that's where the rubber meets the road. We have to come to terms with what are we offering and how deep is it going to get? Are services included?
I do think that I love the idea of being able to click on like retail, restaurants, services. I mean, outside, I think that would help with that.
Yeah, and that's that there is a little commerce book that comes out every year, Chamber of Commerce book, which is sort of complete, not probably the most complete that you can get your hands on, right? So I don't know whether we can have access to any of that or collaborate with that group.
Well,
Eric just pulled this one up too,
So this is the city, just so everyone knows, this is what the city has. We have 832 listings of the business directory. So, I'm sorry. So we asked, like Cardinal Orthodontics, which I think is still there, identifies as orthodontics for children and adults. So very
They've
descriptive,
already
right?
listed that as their own.
3D design, this is always my classic go-to. Are they architecture? Are they interior design? Are they graphic design? We don't know, simply because we only take exactly what they give us, right?
Okay.
And put in there. So as you can scroll through and see, we get, great, information, but we don't always get, everything you're looking for. And then this is broken down by categories as well. So we can do that, but again, it's all dependent on them, aligning to their category. So.
Well,
Go ahead.
I do think that would require, a mass email to make sure that you have updated, but every year, CC, any business that's brick and mortar has to renew their business license. And at that time, they have the chance to change their description.
Is there a
So-
description on the business
There is,
license?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
And honestly, I think if we take the first step by creating the QR code to the Explorer Webster Groves landing page, if we can all agree on that, and then we can just build from there. Like we can
Yes.
QR code at any time to land there, and we can always just keep working on the Explorer Webster Groves landing page that would then include a map is what we're talking about.
Yeah, Stacy, you clearly have a really solid vision for this, so I trust whatever direction you want to go with it.
Same.
Yep.
I think that our first step would definitely be creating that QR code and getting some like press around that, like see how the businesses take that about putting the vinyl in their window. See if people start using the QR code, and then while we have the QR code already, you know, moving, I guess, active, we can be working behind the scenes to work on the Explore Webster Groves page and add the map from there. But I think the first thing is getting that QR code on
And just like
vinyl.
a vinyl design or, you know, sticky.
A map or something.
Yeah, and I think it
Yeah,
should
what's this?
Park, and then Explore Webster Groves underneath of it. I think that's all it needs.
To Mike's recent comment, that again referencing that small business district map that we did for Business Bingo, that can maybe be on a decal. So that there's a small visual of the districts.
Yeah,
And
or like
just, you know,
icons
some
around
crude-
the,
some
around the
crude-
area.
Yeah,
I
or the icons, right, right.
Or that's very selective about what goes in my windows. I don't needs to be huge, and I think that we need to give it a smaller footprint so other people will want to use it, like on their brochures, on their handouts. I think the bigger it gets, the more complicated it gets, and then you're more likely
Shoot.
to have somebody change it, cut it, do something weird with it, and then it doesn't work.
I'll send out, I mean, what we used was the map was on a half of the back of a 5x7, you know, it was already a small map. So I think that that map would stand up. It doesn't have Yorkshire. It might need some revising, but that'll give everybody good reference to start with. And I'll send it to Fran, and Fran, would you distribute it? Okay.
I think, so we can absolutely start there. The first step will be, and I can do this, I'll write up essentially the scope of work, so then distribute it around to folks, and I'll look at it. That's what, we don't need to wait for the next meeting, but it's essentially, does this represent what we've talked about, so that we can engage the designer? And the city's assured that, you know, what we are getting is identify the scope of work, and that's how we would operate, so.
Okay,
And at this point, Stacy's gonna work on it with, shoot, the
Jen.
name,
Gene,
Jean,
Yeah.
Schwartz, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
okay, all
So
right,
do you need to go back to Jean and ask her if she can draw us a cute map?
Well, wait till you get the one that you can share with her, and if you agree that it's a, you know,
Okay.
a good reference point, she'll value the reference.
Stacy, before we obligate Gene into drawing a map, we need that scope of work drawn up, and then
Yes.
whatever agreement between the city and Gene needs to be signed or effectuated, so I'll need to
So just take
obligate
on,
her to the.
yeah.
Do
Yeah.
I need Jen Starkey about anything to do with the landing page? Or do you have that, Eric?
No, I got that. They'll be in the scope of work, so it'll be, that's easy to create, and the QR, we have a QR code generator, so I mean, it'll be 2 seconds to do all that. So it's really, the scope of work is really about the map and what the designer will be providing for us. as the
Okay.
city.
perfect. All right,
Can I get back
Yeah.
to the business director, the chamber?
yeah,
What would you like us to take back? Bree's on the board as well.
Ah.
To the chamber, and I'm thinking about like the booklet itself. Could we put that QR code in the booklet?
I think that'd be great,
Sure.
yeah,
I think we agreed we're gonna be generous.
That's
with
coming up,
QR code.
being published pretty soon. I don't know exactly, do you know what the date is, deadline?
I think the deadline was.
So it might be in publication right now.
As long as it's not on press.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'll check.
yeah, if you let
It's
us
not
know
hard to
when we
get a
need that.
QR code.
So the QR code on the landing page is easy. If you need that quickly, we can turn around, and the city maintains a long relationship with the chamber, obviously, you know, service here and such, is supportive of that directory and such, so.
I
there's
think
no
that'd be a
issue.
great start, the QR code in the chamber.
For branding purposes, I would really, really, really like to get the Explore Webster Groves underneath the QR code and those together locked in. So it's not just a QR code by itself that people can change the font, people can type whatever they want. I think we keep it branded and it be the QR code. And then below the QR code is explorewebstergroves.org or whatever it goes to.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, So scope of work.
Yep.
Basically, the next steps there. All right. Give us your thoughts and ideas. So. Add a boutique hotel to Old Webster. We definitely heard that one before. Turn Old Webster Trade Association to Webster Groves Trade Association, not my idea. But I know a lot of these trends are more, more inclusive with the whole city, not just the business districts, I feel like. Release boundaries on applicants so that all small businesses in all business districts can join together. Lindsay Thomas has interest in joining the BDC next time we have an opening. Commence a study on how the vibrant business community increases property values. I can't remember who gave that one, but it's almost like not really a feasibility study, but obviously the community and everything about the community, is why our property values are what they are. But that could be something that with that data could be a good selling point for Webster Groves for new businesses coming in, but
Like
then also new
documentation
residents.
for why, this is what you get for your money.
Yeah. Pacific, clean up the city building lot that looks bad.
Just to be clear, there's no city building there. It's just a lot.
It's just a lot.
School district building.
Gotcha. So, and then I drove by that too, as far as that landscaping, that's Union Pacific, isn't it?
Yeah, so everything, Pacific's an interesting, Pacific is the road that runs on the north side of the tracks. Everything along the track side is all Union Pacific. And so, we also can't go in and clean the right of way, or we end up with problems, but we can't force them to clean the right of way. So you have growing over weeds and such onto the road and such. Dealing with the railroads is a whole nother level of.
Railroad's bad neighbors,
Now, that said, long ago, a decision was made to make Old Webster, really update the streetscapes and such, and that Pacific was not included. It's generally industrial, and it's zoning and such. Not, the points are well taken. Most of that sidewalk that runs is pretty well maintained. You get up to what is Rolling Ridge's big lot. As you get closer, I think it's Sherman. I can't remember the name of the street there. You end up with a little more industrial because they're storing stuff in that area there. Now, obviously, this comes up quite often, and it's really a discussion with Old Webster. The city is, what is normally sidewalk maintenance, landscaping on those things is a property owner's responsibility. It's not the city's responsibility. Are we going to, from the city's perspective, have some mission creep and take that on? We don't do that for homeowners. It's your job to keep the sidewalk, looking, we obviously replace sidewalk, but, keep the lawn mowed and such like that, so.
Yep.
Trees trimmed back.
Diversity and inclusion goals, see what we can do about better supporting diverse businesses, to represent the community better, possibly micro grants. Facelift micro grants for business owners that want to make their facade look better.
We do have one of those programs at Crossroads.
Crossroads does, yeah. Big Bend and Elm, better pedestrian crossing,
That came up a lot.
and then reach out to landlords that don't have any interest in leasing properties, and see if they can be used for pop-up events. So. And then the business summit. Do you see value in the business summit? Great way to bring together service providers and entrepreneurs. Love the idea of bringing businesses together. Would be great to get together. Great to bring all districts together and the chamber. Need a unified front, one Webster. Yes, we all just focus on our specialties. And then I'd like to see this a lot. So I think that would be a good thing to do. With training on DEI education on the other business districts, businesses, employee management, marketing and social media, Canvas seminar, graphic design, visual marketing, getting capitals, social media web. Other feedback, BDC should be to improve beauty or improve and beautify infrastructure around all business districts, more citywide events. We need one Webster, not split, and beautification.
Generally, the feedback at this station.
Yeah.
Is anytime people, I was like, would you like more training on this? People would nod and be like, yeah, sure, but the main thing people kept saying is. I just want us all to get together and I just all want to be one, so they just liked the community aspect of it. So. I don't know if, I think this could be valuable,
Yeah,
but I don't know if this is something that we need to totally latch on to.
sure.
I think we can bring people together and highlight people through things like the map better.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, and Bud, you know, the chamber's doing some of these things. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of get-togethers with the chamber.
Exactly.
I don't know in the education pieces, if, you know, if there's training and stuff like that, you guys do it at various chamber events, or, you know, if it's more just getting together and then people telling about their businesses, but what do you think?
About that.
I have to tell you guys, I had so many people come up to me and ask me about the trade associations and how Old Webster gets all these things done and why are they not included? So there was a lot of like education and bringing them over to Fran and bringing them over to Eric and explaining exactly how everything works. And I do think maybe like every 6 months, we need to schedule a coffee and chat because there's so many new businesses coming into Webster or new managers that don't know what the heck they're doing as far as like what they need to do as far as getting involved. They're like, who do I talk to? Why is this like this? It's just not clear enough for business owner or businesses in general. And I could have sat there and talked to 6 different businesses from Old Orchard for hours about this if we had time.
Same.
Yeah, Eric, what was our spend on this event? It was, I mean, it's nominal dollars,
Yeah,
that
I think we're,
couple $100.
yeah, we're probably right around $500 range.
Yeah,
That I'm aware of. So I mean, the biggest cost was obviously, biggest single cost was the display boards,
sure,
you know, so.
which I don't even think we
We-
necessarily need those,
Right.
yeah.
So I have an
And,
idea.
and I gotta echo what Stacy just said. That's how I spent my time.
Mhm.
And it was, I kept hearing my name, because it was, who do I talk to? What do I do? How does this work? How do I get involved? All the
Yeah.
things that Stacy just said. That's what I spent my time, practically the whole coffee.
Yeah,
And it was businesses, I mean, even ones I have not met yet, and I've met a lot of them before.
well, and I was talking to a lot of business owners that I had never talked to before, so I thought that was very beneficial. Go ahead, Susie.
So there's a very successful Old Webster Business District, and I can understand how the question would come up, how do we do that? There's 2 approaches. One is maybe there's somebody that represents each of the 6 business districts that gets together as a club or a committee, a team, and they strategize around how they can share events or how they can participate or they have a little coffee of their own. The second is, this kind of is that group, but we are not all business owners. And from my experience, this group isn't that interested in embracing events as a functioning group. I did it, I got the help of one person. So it is a need. I think that collaboration is a need, and to have just a representative coming into the meeting, like, you would be one and Stacy would be, and whoever, you'd be one. And then you guys can talk about what's coming up and how you might be able to share in it.
And let me just add that the cities, I mean, very clearly. Crossroads, Old Orchard, Old Webster, the business districts themselves don't run events, right? Like we subsidize from the city out to the trade association in Old Webster. We subsidize, the Old Orchard Merchants Business Association, whatever it's called, the association. Crossroads really doesn't have one, but if, Digital Strike is sort of on there as a business picked up the pickleball tournament to make a thing there. But I think that there is value, what you're talking about, if Marshall and Summit, St. Adele, if Yorkshire, if there's a collaboration of folks that want to get into how do we create events, creating the space here with BBC. And really our work is, how do you do that? How do you create the non-government outside association amongst yourselves to do those kinds of things? The city does not want to be in charge of events. The city does not want the liability of those events. If business owners want to create events, we want The business owners to
Right.
create those.
So I agree with everything you just said. However, from a marketing perspective, which is what events
Yeah.
falls under, it's a good idea to present to the public a homogeneous business environment and or help a rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
So if we can market to the which is again what Business Bingo was
Yeah.
designed to do, like get people to focus. This is really what Webster is, not just this
Yeah.
district or this district. So
Yeah.
somebody, and we had not Scott Gerke, Dave Buck, he came in with the same sort of idea, right? Let's do marketing for the community of Webster and all business districts. So I don't want to let go of that. I won't let go of that as long as I'm on this team, but I'm thinking that if to this point, if there's representatives that want to get together and talk about how they would all benefit from some of that, and maybe one of us attend, like me, maybe with a marketing interest, we can begin to tackle this without getting in the event business or stepping into the role of these
So
business
let me say that.
community organizers.
We are not here to say, I'm not here to say that. We just want Yorkshire to create a trade association. It would be great if there was a trade association, a business association across the entirety of the city that concentrated on just that thing, right? The city is ultimately not a great marketing entity, right? I mean, we can do pieces of it, we can create events, but the real successful models of this are non-government entities that are created by those members that do that the government can support, right? That's, now, when you have a one downtown business, if you're Kirkwood with one area, right? Heck of a lot easier because you don't have split identities that you're dealing with. That's not to say anything bad about Old Webster, Old Orchard, all the different areas, but if we could see that, that would be incredible, right? To be able to move those kinds of functions forward and really
Well,
support
A-
Can I talk for a second?
Wait, hold, oh, sorry. A big hang up from that is that we all pay different taxes. And there's different taxing districts.
Correct.
How the trade associations are created are based on the taxing district.
Well, that may be the function of them, but the business district money can only go and be used in the business districts, right? So let's be clear, Crossroads doesn't have an association, but they have a business district. There is no link between a business district and the trade association, other than if the business district decides to give them money. There's no.
Right.
So my point being is, Stacy, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying get rid of the Old Webster Trade Association or the business district. I'm saying for everything else, there doesn't have to be 16 different little trade associations for those that want to exist. There could be one that works across the way that the city could support. Yes, you all pay different taxes. If you're in a business district, you're going to pay more taxes. Supports a business district, so.
So every time we do an event, like the holiday open, a representative from the trade association, because it's into, like we have it, what do we have it as, Fran?
Gotcha.
What's it listed as?
Tax number 501c.
Oh, 501c36.
Okay, so
501c6.
that person who is the representative, so I work at the holiday open house. I have to go to the taxing district board in Old Webster and request the $5,000 that provided and voted on to go to that event. So I think that that's some information that people don't understand. That is something that can be easily explained. Like Amy from Amy's Cake Pop was like asking questions. I'm like, well, this is how a trade association works. And that's why I was thinking that if we can put together a coffee every 6 months or every year where these people can come and ask questions and we all just can mingle and answer these questions, would be very helpful and very informative, because there's so much people don't know about. Like there's so much that goes in to these different trade associations rather than just getting together and coming up with events and ideas.
I agree. Tim, go ahead.
Okay, just to let you know where things really are, is I met with two people from Old Orchard, thinking that we're going to sit down and talk about possible mutual events that we could do together and stuff like that. To my surprise, at that point, they did not even couldn't even conceptualize how the trade association worked. That the members, the meetings, the fees, everything that goes into putting a trade association together. So I was more about teaching Old Orchard, the second biggest district in Webster, of how to come together as a district, instead of talking about how we can do an event together. So that's where these other districts are, and until they all get together and have a voice that can talk about it. I mean, it's not just about marketing. It's not just about, because you can't just meet with everybody. There's not a lot of people that want to get involved or know that they need to get involved with it. And so that makes it very difficult to say, let's put on a Webster event when you don't have point people or associations to work together with.
I agree with
How
that.
does that problem get solved?
What's that? Which
What he
part
just
of it?
said, the fact that we don't have functioning trade associations.
But I think that's really what I was-
To each other.
That's what I was really getting at, right? Is the city, I think we're
It's
not at a
separate.
point yet of having been able to do things yet, because we haven't even really spent time educating on how the infrastructure works. I mean, I think, I
Yeah.
really wonder if there's not a city value. Councilmember Bliss has her hand up on
Yep.
trying to bring together and see, this is how you do that, right? Whether it's a larger across the whole city, or even in Old Orchard or Crossroads or defined areas, how you help create that. And then be cognizant of, the trade association is, it's a fee. There's a membership-based organization like joining the chamber, and it's gonna be more work for that business persons, those that are involved, and the legality of creating that, and all those kinds of things that need to be done, so.
Maybe, but that's a good place to go as far as next.
Sure,
thing,
I mean,
talking
that
about how
could
to-
easily
how to
be a
help them.
BBC
Yeah.
goal that the
Yeah,
city could
yeah,
help
yeah.
subsidize, is how do you create, because
Yeah.
again, back to the city function, and Councilmember Bliss, I know you have your hand up.
Yep.
We don't want to be the holder. I don't want to sit on a lot of other people's money and have to, cut checks and do all that, right? An active trade association is a benefit to the city, whatever trade association, merchant association, take it back.
Yeah, Councilwoman Bliss, go ahead, and then Stacy, I see you after that.
Hi, so I just wanted to fill in a little bit, just based on my experience and history of being with the city. This is kind of an evergreen conversation that we have about tying in the business districts. I think the main idea for business development is what the perception of the customer is. And they don't need to know the nitty gritty of how things work. We just need to have the perception that Webster has all sorts of things to offer. We have these cool, unique neighborhoods that may be separate from each other, but it's all shopping local and supporting Webster. And then just filling in on where council is a little bit, we're in the midst of figuring out the tactics for our strategic plan, and out of those conversations about the strategic plan is talk about doing an economic development plan. And so these questions that this conversation that we're having now really relates to a more comprehensive economic development plan. And then we can drill down into tactics to making those happen. And then just the last thought is, while everyone's suggestions is good, is it possible that we can move on and just look at these overall general ideas and then drill down into the different subjects later? After later in another meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to, right? We're running out of time, so, good idea.
Thanks.
Stacy has her hand up.
Yep, Stacy, go ahead.
I just want to quickly just say that it's also, Cece, more than just getting together and talking about events. We had to do a whole legal protection too, because if you don't set up your trade association properly, whoever is working at the event, if something can happen, their business would be the one held liable.
Okay, well, I basically am very high level from a marketing orientation. I just want to wrap a marketing ribbon around saying Webster Grows. And however that happens. From a technical legal point of view, I think this is great conversation.
I will second what Stacy said. That is an extremely important part of every event that we have, that we are set up correctly, that the businesses cannot be held for anything that happens that possibly bad could happen at an event. So that is a very, very good point.
Okay, good deal. Let's, all right, let's move on to the Work in Webster Job Board. So what can we do to improve?
We had no comments on the improvements, just briefly, I mean, what other, obviously, places that people have used Instagram and job boards. I think the interesting one was here on workforce needs, and what I did notice is the pay, the paying and living wage came up, diversity, and then the trades, right? I mean, obviously, we have a lot of, folks recruiting to retail and service industry in town, but we did have a couple trade industry representatives, so.
So, reading through here, I'll read through them all, but Instagram, industry job boards, what challenges do you have finding qualified individuals? Employing, retaining trade industry positions, paying a living wage, $15 an hour, diversity of workforce, paying living wage to workers. How else can we help? Can city help? No comments there. So, and the next one, changes and updates. What functions and interactions with the city could we improve to better our service to you? More noticeable public parking signs. What functions and interactions with the city could we improve to better our service to you? Stop sign and crosswalk at Summit and Lockwood, many near misses with pedestrians and vehicles. Trash cans near crosswalks and parking lots. We love the staff. We appreciate the landscaping and overall beautification of the Old Orchard area. We'd love to see more trash cans. A dedicated point of contact liaison. Webster is very segmented. Old Orchard, Crossroads, Old Webster. It'd be nice to get our arms around all areas as a group. Lots of times one group has an event, the others don't know about it. Cross-marketing could improve. What challenges or burdens does your business face the city could help overcome? Trash like the new parking, it sounds like. Love the online business license renewal. Ladies in the city office are helpful and friendly. More crosswalks and stop signs. Improved sidewalks, pedestrian areas in all business districts are trying to promote walkability. If you're trying to promote walkability. Add specialty streetlights and planners to Marshall Avenue district. There's so many not-for-profits in Webster, would love a not-for-profit group or arm of the chamber. Replace a sign at Moody and Elm. Stop sign crosswalk at Summit and Lockwood. Westbound traffic passing Rogers and Syrian is very fast, especially the bus. Employees must cross Lockwood to reach their cars and it's dangerous. Crosswalk on North Gore leading to parking garage. Agree with the comment on crosswalk on North Gore. Safer pedestrian crosswalks for busier intersections, specifically Big Bend and Elm. North Webster Business District infrastructure being actively ignored and let go. Union Pacific ignoring responsibilities, crumbling sidewalks, inadequate streetlights. Lost parking opportunities along Pacific because of infrastructure. And there are 5 schools along 1.5 mile Big Bend corridor during the school year. Traffic gets so backed up during drop off and pickup that it prevents access to businesses. Somehow that can be smoothed out. It would improve revenue and make it safer. Shop local, we don't have anything. Eric, do you want to read yours? Since it's not up here, but you know what you have.
Yeah, it should be on.
Sorry. Come on. Sorry.
While he's looking for that, I appreciate that some of you compiled the elements from the board and then you went underneath them, because for instance, I have an interest in the shop local marketing, but I don't have any context. And I don't know what the board even said. Do you have an outline of the boards maybe that you guys produced?
Tammy did that one.
No, but I mean, all of these, I helped Stacy by doing the compiler. I wasn't standing with her, but all I did was take the post-it notes and that, I don't know what they related to from the board. So I'm wondering if there's an outline that somebody worked off of to create those boards.
We did our own, so
You did your own.
yeah, and some of the areas just had, a general question, it wasn't like under like my board is in general, but you know.
Okay, so
like
you, yeah,
feedback.
because some of them were meant to say like, we did this
Yeah.
and what we've done so far. I saw some of that. Well, I do think I might have taken a picture of that marketing board. I'll have to go look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had business liaison and I focused just on the economic development piece when I made the board. Kind of tried to showcase that to everyone. Excellent opportunity for mentorship program. I heard that. Combine the liaison with a shared workspace for business owners. You know, this would be like the farm person who's the manager of the pharmacy could have, you know, they would have to go home to a Fallon to use, you know, their computer. They could, like a library type thing. Make business license renewal online. I guess that was on the other one because it was already.
It's a plan change from the city. so,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. And then prefer funds to be spent locally. Locally owned businesses not encourage commercial tenants owners, so.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
I think that means, you know, because I talked about economic development and I was like, you know, bringing in the right people. And it was, someone was just waiting for me to say a larger.
National change.
Yeah,
I
like,
think people
So
think of
basic
TIF and
commercial.
property tax abasement, so
You're
you're a
talking about a
developer coming.
developer.
in.
Yeah.
So.
Because when I think of commercial, I do think of small businesses.
Yeah.
So
So-
I was confused.
Yeah,
yeah, so I think a large chain, you know, like a large chain,
Like a small coffee shop instead of Starbucks.
yes.
correct.
Yeah. So the question was, does this replace Economic Development Commission from years past?
That's an old commission that's long been dormant, was actually taken out of the ordinance.
Okay.
So this, just so everyone knows.
Okay. We've been needing this for years, small business insurance group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you?
I don't. Anybody's on the drive insurance. I did not put it on there. Yeah.
Have a map with commercial property owners with space open, which I thought was a good idea, include nonprofits. They add to the awesomeness of the city and local businesses. That's kind of a.
Was there more than this?
No, that's
If
it.
I had to guess, small business insurance group, and that wasn't my table, and so I don't know even who said it, it's probably regarding health insurance, which. If they know about the chamber program, but because you guys don't you still do the chamber program through Anthem?
Meanwhile,
The MIWA deal,
Yes,
yeah, that's the best small group health option out there, so
That's a big sell too.
it is, they just need to know that it's available, because I think some small business owners don't know it's available. But it's there and it's a good program.
That's true. We're trying to do a better job of getting that word out.
Yeah, every chamber in Missouri doesn't have that too, I mean, it's a.
They can,
Yeah,
only chambers can have it.
no, only chambers can have it, but everybody doesn't have access to that MIWA program as far as all the different. Chambers around the state, I don't think, right?
I don't think so either, because some people come from outside of Webster to join our chamber so they can.
So that they can get access to the MIWA program, yeah,
Well, they join our chamber here.
yeah, but that's a nice option, but we don't have to get hung up on that, I was gonna say,
So this popped up just real quick, the commercial property owners have space open. We can easily do a map or a listing of that. I mean, I don't think it's gonna take a lot of effort. But we don't have much vacancy, right? And the reality is it's very small. It's not like the Maplewood, you know, real intentional work they had to do years ago to fill those things up. Now, we can put whatever we want into that, but if that's something you want to look at, let me know, because we can create something relatively easy. I think now, again, it depends on if we know it's open, right? Or if brokers want to let us know it's, so.
okay,
I think there are a lot of comments in all of these that are things that are not BDC business, and we need to like get clear on what is BDC and what we can actually do with this.
I think I agree with that, I think it was good to look at everything that came up,
Yeah.
just as far as having a discussion, but I think narrowing down the list to what we can help with and coming back to this is old business next month with a more narrowed down list. And then sitting here and saying, okay, here's the 5 different things that were common trends that we can potentially work on and try and improve and try and help with. I think is the best way to
That's exactly
take
right.
this. Yeah.
Exactly what we should do.
What I would do and what I can help you with is, I'll take these, thank you, Fran, for having all these and all the comments, sort of lay them out and then also give you, from a staff perspective, what would be the right step forward. You obviously sidewalks and crosswalks and pedestrian issues aren't your bailiwick, but the right referral to the Traffic Advisory Commission, or does this group write a letter out to the police department or the city manager about those types of things? There are some, North Gore across the parking lot, Tim, right near your business. We've heard that sidewalk or crosswalk request for years. Problem is you start to back up with a train. And now you've got a whole backup of pedestrian issues and such. So there are some that may not be doable, but it's all things we can put together.
Yep.
To give you a sense on trash cans real quick, most of the trash cans have been paid for by the business districts through that extra tax revenue. It's not been a city expense. So if we're going to expand into more trash cans in other areas, that's a new thing for the city to adopt. So.
Yes, please.
You don't want to pay for them?
Yes.
out of the-
Yes, please. Let's make that a city expense.
That's our one recommendation, so, thank you for coming. Great.
Working on making sure all of those are the same. Didn't we vote from the taxing district, Tim, that it would be the same as the Old Orchard ones or benches last time, so it would look a little bit more cohesive?
Yes.
Yeah, the city's going to one design. It's a matter of the rolling stock of, there's more cans. I mean, those cans are not cheap. Those metal cans, the black ones that you see around town. So.
They're unbelievably expensive.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's whittle that down then.
Yep.
For
Yeah,
next
so
meeting.
I'll whittle it. I mean, obviously you can all decide, but I'll give you a sense of what a path forward would be and such.
Okay,
Sounds good.
good deal. Any business district updates at all, real quick?
There's a new little toy shop opening in Crossroads. It's like a pop-up.
Yeah.
I talked to those two guys and I can't figure out where they're going.
Oh, you're thinking of the game.
Yeah,
So I think they're not in
The-
Crossroads. I think
they're
they're
not- the
down
game-
by.
The game folks are down across from KFC. They're
Yeah,
right on
by
that
the
point.
Yeah.
So this is the
They're
beauty of the
open
coffee.
too, right?
yeah.
The beauty, yeah, they're open. This is the beauty of the coffee is we got folks that generally don't ever connect with the city function in any way that we're there. So
Yeah.
they're way down on that point, and such. That was really great to have.
Yeah,
You mean at Laclede and Big Bend?
No, so
Can
Big
I
Bend
take
is
a picture?
Shrewsbury Road down by the KFC. You take,
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah, sorry.
about, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
they're in that strip.
Now Key West one side, Shrewsbury the other side.
Yep.
Marshall.
That's where Go Figure Skates is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Good deal.
Oh, where's the toy store?
In between me and Lark, it's actually part of Lark.
Oh,
It's like in there. It's the same owner. She's just like sectioning off half of her shop and like rebranding it as a little toy store. Pop-up.
So-
That's cool.
So can
Go ahead.
we make a motion or something to get to do something like this every 6 months so we can it?
I'd like to second that motion if you're making the motion.
You're talking about coffee?
Do the
Coffee.
copy.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't have to be to this type of extent, but I guess like angry
Yeah.
And
Just like
eat-
a hangout.
topic or something. Also,
sorry, she's cutting out. I'm not getting most of
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I think I'm
Send the
hearing what
copy
she's
then.
saying, though, do the copy twice a year, probably like in the spring and fall, just as far as the easier seasons for business owners.
A little touch base.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. I mean,
You certainly can do a motion. You could just put it on your plan as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we can do that. So.
all right, let's do it. Let's plan on that. So we'll work on developing a date for the next one.
That's on this fall.
Yeah, so.
So when
we'll
you
plan on this
consider fall, I mean, you know me, I'm particular,
Yeah,
fall is different for everybody.
yeah.
What month would you want to target?
Fran, what do you think the best month is for?
August,
you know, in the
September,
calendar?
we're extremely busy.
So is
Yeah.
November?
Is November better than before you get into the holiday season? Is that probably a slower time for
November
businesses?
is
No, that's
crazy.
Yeah,
for retail, November is holiday season.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Stacy, you had something I know.
I think we should do it in the beginning of August and at the beginning of February.
Good to me.
That makes sense.
that does make sense. Okay,
And then a lot of that like natural education can come out of those things that
Yeah.
help people just understand more point and, And we can all just kind of, instead of having stations, we can all just kind of be around maybe to be like a point person to
Yep.
field some of that.
Just talk to people and take questions and comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time planning it. Just post it.
Exactly.
Yeah. City updates. Eric?
So Councilmember Bliss will go just a second. I wanted to bring up and I will share, sorry, let me get this on the screen. We are applying, the city is applying for the electric vehicle charging station grants through the federal government, of which the first round will include some business districts. The city's parking garage in Old Webster, in also the Alma parking lot in Crossroads. So this is about $1 million grant, first round, and then second rounds include parking, the parking area up by Maypop, the Dutton that goes into Deer Creek and other areas. So various spots around the city on the corridor grant program. City's asking all the commissions that relate to these functions to provide a letter of support if you're willing. So this is the draft. It's a very generic letter of support for the charging fueling infrastructure grant program. I wanted to see if the BDC is willing to do so. I type it up for Mike and have him sent over his signature. So
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
You guys all good for that? Yep.
no cost to any of your budget. So
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah, it's great.
So that is that. And then Councilmember Bliss, updates for you.
Hey, okay, so I guess it's budget season, and so the update for me is all about budget. We did go, the last council meeting, we went through a set of probably about 11 budget amendment forms that a couple council members had submitted, as well as the finance department submitted. And so for the BDC, which Eric's mentioned already, you have $50,000, which is now in a special initiative fund for your efforts. And generally speaking, $25,000 of that will go through to the Green Dining Microgrant program that we are partnering with sustainability, and they are going to kick in the same amount of money as well. $15,000 to expand work in Webster Groves, and then the remainder is in reserve for whatever the BDC finds as an important initiative to pursue. And so that was approved. And that is where we are, and we're hoping to have the budget done in the next, at the final June
Great.
meeting, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
And Councilmember Bliss, I just want to add on. So if there are other pressing priorities, right, that you come up with, there is more money in the special initiatives fund that's just there. So don't view your 50 as that's it, right? I mean, that's that if there are good goals, if the map's going to cost us some money or marketing the map, that's the kind of thing we take back to council with a recommendation to add. Or, we talk about the liaison position, if that comes full or fruition, that's the kind of thing you go back to council to fund. So.
Okay. Stacy, your hand's up. Do you have something?
I
Sorry.
was going to just finish real quick.
Oh, sorry.
I
Go ahead.
just want to reiterate the concept of doing an economic development plan that council is kicking around. And so that would be something that's a year or two off, but I think we are definitely talking about it now before, we would be able to get that going. And I think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next meeting is June 22nd. And then I think that's all we got. So,
We'll put on that agenda, obviously following up on this, but also we'll start the coffee. So we get the right format, right? So if you want to have a speaker or anything like that, what do we need? So just think about that for the next meeting.
perfect. All right, let's go ahead and adjourn. Thanks all.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.